What's going on, everybody? Um, kind of debated heavily on if I wanted to make this video or not. I typically stay to myself when it comes to a lot of issues that are going on in the world because my channel has always been about trucking and whatnot. But I want to shed some light on some of my opinions on things. Now that being said, these are just my opinions. I'm thoroughly aware of the fact that you will always have people that like what you say and don't like what you say. And then if you say things to appease people that don't like what you have to say, they'll be happy, but then you're pissing somebody else off. So that's just life. You're not going to be able to make everybody happy. It is what it is. I want to talk about the incident that happened with Mr. Floyd in Minnesota. It's completely tragic, and it definitely didn't need to happen. Definitely could have been avoided. And especially as a person that was in law enforcement for years. Oh, look at that. A rail truck going over I-20. Funny. But yeah, it definitely could have been avoided. Definitely didn't need to happen. It was just all around a completely fucked up situation that just did not and should not have happened. Even in my 5.5 years in law enforcement, even if I hit somebody in the neck or any manner like that, it was probably because we were fighting or something, and then I fell, and we both fell, and I just happened to hit them like that. It was just by chance. Never have I ever needed to put my knee on the back of somebody's neck to ever hold them down in the position. Even after I've gotten them in restraints with other officers, none of us have ever done that. So that's completely wild to me, and I hope that justice is served to Mr. Floyd. Even though he's no longer with us, he still deserves justice. I hope that the justice system doesn't fail his family and doesn't fail the country as a whole, because right now this is a pretty big issue and everybody's definitely got their eyes on it. That being said, I want to address some things. This is the part that people probably not going to like to hear. I have an issue with everybody, or I don't want to say everybody, with people who turn everything into a race issue. That does not say that there are not racist cops. That does not mean that there aren't racist black cops or white cops or racist whatever cop. But I think that you play down the severity of when you actually do have a racially motivated issue by claiming everything is racially done. You play it down, and it's kind of like the story of the little boy who cried wolf. If you cry wolf to everything, when you actually have a legitimate wolf, nobody's going to take you seriously. Do I understand why people are upset and protesting and doing all that stuff? Absolutely. But I think you need to focus on a different issue. Everybody's like, race issue, race issue, race issue. This issue that I'm about to bring to you guys is goes far deeper, and in my opinion is worse than a race issue, because the issue that I'm going to say I see is beyond race, and it doesn't matter if you're black, white, orange, purple, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Hindu, whatever, where you are from whatever corner of the world, you can be affected by it. And it shows no discrimination or race, religion, sexual orientation, creed, anything of that nature. I don't think what happened is a race issue. I think what happened is an issue of, and it is an issue of having people that don the badge who do not need to be in law enforcement, period. And that goes for black and white and anybody who wears the badge. You have people who wear that badge and have taken that oath, but they don't need to be doing it. And I hear a lot of people say stuff like, it's an issue with, it's a systemic issue with police training and how they're trained. And coming from a person that did law enforcement training, that went to the police academy, that went through jail school, that went through multiple schools after graduating the police academy, I love to say, okay, so how are cops trained? Tell me about it. Please tell me. And they'll be like, you guys are trained to shoot to kill. No, we're not. We're trained to shoot to eliminate the threat. So we're not trained to shoot to kill. All right, tell me more about our training. Tell me about criminal procedure. Tell me about criminal law. Talk to me about that kind of stuff. Let me know. And nobody can really answer. Another thing that gets me is when I hear people say, I know my rights. What are your rights? I ask them, like, what are your rights? Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, here are your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Blah, blah, blah. Those are your rights. But people love to say, I know my rights, but actually don't know when they're saying that, they're referring to those rights. I give this analogy. I say, what happens if you have a person that decides they're going to be a cop or even be a doctor? They go through their 4 years of college, they do extremely well. They graduate, all A's. Go to medical school, doing extremely well. Top of their class in med school. Go to the residency at an amazing accredited hospital, kicking ass at their residency, and they begin their profession as a doctor. And they don't need to be a doctor because of just some of the characteristics and qualities that they have as a person that don't fit the bill for somebody that should be wearing the white coat or should be wearing anything that says I'm a doctor. And it's the same for law enforcement. What happens? How do you deal with the people that have gone through the police academy, did outstanding, passed all their psychological tests, to get evaluated to see if they even should go. And then what happens to those people that go start in a department somewhere and kick ass during FTO? They pass all their tests during FTO. They know how to do the job flawlessly as far as the paperwork side and understanding, the clinical side of being a cop. They're doing really well, but they don't have the personality. They don't have the traits of when something is bothering them to piss them off. They don't have what it takes to know how to control yourself and think, even in a shitty, fucked up situation. They don't have the ability to think. How do you weed that out? And that's what I think people should be thinking about, is how do you weed someone out that's willing to take their knee and put 200 pounds of their own body weight plus their fucking gear that they have on, all that down on your neck, and you don't know that they're that person or that they would turn and do some shit like that until you're in that situation. How do you weed out people like that? That is what I think people should be really asking the question of, how do you deal with that? And that's a tough one to answer. I've asked that question and I can't even answer it. And I'm the one that posed the question, that poses it. How do you weed that out? Because that right there, that has nothing to do with race. That has everything to do with you as a person. Somehow or another, you were able to make it through everything, all the training, and everything was smooth sailing. You were able to fly under the radar until you got put in a fucked up situation, or a situation that you could have de-escalated because of your qualities as a person. Now you're doing something reckless. How do you weed those kind of people out? The people that do some shit where you turn around and say, oh fuck, I didn't know. Now, that does not characterize everybody. There are some people that you will blatantly be like, everybody fucking knew that this person had it in them. How did they make it so far? But there are people who you don't know that they would ever do something like that, until you actually get into that situation. I've heard that this guy had a long, extensive record or history of, excessive force and what have you. I would like to see that record to see what it says, because I've had people say shit like that about me as a cop. When I was a cop, sometimes it'd be like, you're excessively rude, excessive force, and sometimes it'd be like, all right, that's excessive force is a bit weird, a bad way to say it, but you could have been nicer to that person. I've taken my L's, I've taken my write-ups, I've been suspended before. I'll take that shit. I have never ever thought at any point it'd ever be okay to do some wild shit like that. No matter how upset I've ever been on any call, I've never thought in my mind it is okay to do something that could potentially kill a person. That's just fucking next level. So yeah, but I'd like to see what his record says, but I think that's the question that people should be posing. How do you weed out the people that are so good at hiding that trait and characteristic about themselves that they make it past every psychological test, every event in the academy? They make it through years of being a beat cop or a street cop or whatever, just a cop and working in law enforcement. They make it through years of doing that and have something happen that triggers that part of them, because you can only hide who you are for so long. How do you weed that out? And I think once people figure out a way to answer that, and a legitimate, actual, well thought out way to answer and deal with that issue, that is when I think you will start seeing change. I think people sound stupid when they say all cops are bad. I think people sound equally stupid when they say every cop is a good cop. Like, I think both sides sound absolutely fucking retarded when you say that. And anybody that knows me knows I say that. And I did my time in law enforcement, so I can say this: I did my time as an officer. I took that oath, I wore that badge, and I did my job well. Wasn't the best at it, no, it wasn't perfect, but I did my job well. So I have the right to say some shit on this topic. Not to mention, I'm also a black man in America, so I definitely have the right to say what my piece on this. But I think that is the question that needs to be asked. Hopefully, this makes it out there and makes people actually step back and think. Shit, that makes sense. That's a really good question to ask. So yeah, and this is actually the first time I've ever made a video like this on the channel. So as always, like, comment, subscribe. Yes, I will make trucking videos. I'm actually pulling up right now to pick up Ray J, let him spend some time with grandma. So yeah, just pull up at the house. But I think these are the questions that should be asked. I think these are I think that instead of turning everything into a race issue, I think people need to step back and look at it like this, and figure out a way to weed out the ones that somehow or another fly under the radar for so long and are so good at it, and they're just a ticking bomb waiting to explode at the right situation. And the reason I said that this is worse than a race issue, because it doesn't matter if the person's black, white, young, old, tall, short, fat, skinny. If that person's ready to explode and they're just ready to do something ridiculously next level crazy, ain't nobody safe from that kind of person. Doesn't matter if you're pro law enforcement or against law enforcement. Even if you're pro law enforcement, you could get pulled over and have somebody who's like that on that day that causes them to snap, and you could be pro law enforcement all day long and they'll snap and whoop your ass on the side of the fucking road. So, and that's what I say, ain't nobody safe from that kind of person. That is the true question that needs to be asked. But anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'm about to go pick up Junior. For whatever reason, I'm wearing my rail hat, even though I don't drive for rail anymore. I'll catch you guys later. Have a great night.